Okay, let me address this article since I've been continuously seeing it over and over and over again. What's up, guys? My name is Blitzwinger, and ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about Marvel's Spider-Man 2 rumor leak that supposedly goes on ahead and reveals the villain and much, much more. Now, I want to first and foremost go on ahead and say this much. The very first leak that we saw for this game that was posted over on 4chan, I did go on ahead and cover it because I do think that there's a very, very good chance that that leak is accurate, just because A, it sounds incredibly plausible. There was nothing in that leak that seemed extremely out of the ordinary, nor anything that really made me go on ahead and raise any red flags thinking that something was just completely wacky or out of place. But over the course of the last week or so, this article over at comicbook.com has been sent to me a multitude of times by many of you guys telling me, hey Blitz, did you see this? This is insane. This is an absolutely massive, massive leak. And I gotta be honest. So first and foremost, this once again in the actual article, because I know a lot of people are quoting comicbook.com as the website, but in the article itself, they're saying that they are basing this purely on another 4chan post. So no, this is not a post that is reported by comicbook.com, which is relatively reputable. This is just comicbook.com making an article about a post that was posted on 4chan. So that's number one. Number two, what was actually included in the post itself? So instead of just reading their much more subjective and a little bit more fancy version on comicbook.com, I went to the actual post, and that's when it immediately went ahead and set off a bunch of alarms, because I just don't think that this one is real. This is the problem with going on ahead and seeing some leaks, is the issue that some of them just then starts to go on ahead and sprout out, and they are very, very, very out there. So first and foremost, there's a good start here because it's very similar to the last leak, where it says that the game starts out with Peter and Miles tracking down someone who is now causing a whole bunch of trouble within New York City itself, and it is supposedly Yuri from the previous games, which actually kind of lines up and could make sense. So that's somewhat believable, and I get it. Next, it goes on ahead and says that Peter gets a symbiote early in game when Harry goes on ahead and returns from Europe to the surprise of everyone. And then from there on, basically the symbiote makes its way from Harry onto Spider-Man. The follow-up to that insinuates that it will be Black Suit Spider-Man that goes on ahead and defeats Yuri with Miles' help, as she will be the first act villain of the entire campaign. The next detail is that Osborn is supposedly worried about seeing that Miles has electric abilities upon discovering, I suppose, that Miles somehow was bit by the spider that they were working on within his labs, and so then he goes on ahead and hires Kraven to take them down. Kraven goes rogue, and then from there on out, Kraven is basically, I guess, pitted against Norman Osborn himself also, which again, I could kind of believe. So far, so good. Kind of believable stuff. Then the leaker goes on to say that Kraven is then brutally defeated by the Black Suit Spider-Man, which again, kind of credible here, because you have to really consider that obviously when Spider-Man has that symbiote on him, he is slowly but surely going to kind of lean more and more towards the quote-unquote dark side and start behaving more like a villain, or at least an anti-hero, more so than just a hero. Apparently, after defeating Kraven, Peter just goes on ahead and decides to get rid of the symbiote suit, so he makes his way over to the classic bell tower, just like in the comics, and from there he removes the suit, where it then bonds to Eddie Brock, who will be a recurring playable character in the game, similar to how MJ and Miles were in the previous games where they did not have abilities yet. And so because of that, you played them as kind of stealthy characters. Apparently Eddie Brock will be serving a similar type of role in this game. So at this point, you've probably already got yourself a bucket of popcorn and a soda thinking about just how in-depth this leak is. But that's not even all, because apparently Kraven somehow, even after being brutally defeated by Spider-Man earlier, now goes after Venom, who then goes on ahead and actually takes him down permanently, which is, I mean, I guess kind of believable, but I don't really know if they would go on ahead and push it that dark with the game. And I also don't really know the purpose of introducing Kraven only to defeat him permanently in the same game. Apparently, Venom will then go on ahead and kidnap Mary Jane, and Peter and Miles have to go on ahead and rescue her. And while that's happening, Osborn, that is Norman Osborn, will actually go on ahead and gaslight Harry into becoming Green Goblin, which now this is just straight up sounding like the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 3 movie. And apparently that will all lead to the final showdown, where Peter Parker and Miles will fight Venom and Green Goblin, and Peter and Miles will win, obviously, and manage to turn them both good as they all go after Norman Osborn. Which, again, is kind of bizarre, because if you're going to go on ahead and present Venom as this true monster-type character where he doesn't just defeat Kraven, but he takes him out permanently, I genuinely don't understand how you're going to then turn around a little while later and just try to redeem him. I feel like that's not going to really work. And speaking of things that don't work and things that borrow from the movies, at least to a certain extent, Osborn will then go on ahead and defeat his own son because he has a much better Green Goblin suit, I suppose. And he's going to go on ahead and remove the symbiote off of Eddie. Then he's going to go on ahead and place it into some type of a container. It falls off a roof. And as Eddie dives to go on ahead and get it, when they look over the edge, he's never to be seen. So again, that's just, to me, like, either this person legitimately has seen the game and played it, and if all this turns out to be true, I'm gonna look like the absolute biggest L, because to me, this sounds like such a goofy leak. Like, the specificity that this goes into and some of the elements that are contradictory just sets off alarms, and I just think that this is most likely mostly fake. As if all that wasn't enough, the game will then wrap up with Peter Parker proposing to Mary Jane, and she's going to go on ahead and accept his offer. So we're possibly going to get that iconic moment of Peter and MJ getting married, just like they did in the comics. And boy, oh boy, that ended well. I genuinely thought that was it. That was predominantly it. But then I went ahead and read the final little bit of the comicbook.com article, and apparently there was actually more, because this same person came back and gave even more details, saying things like apparently Mysterio, Sandman, Big Wheel, which, what? Big Wheel, Shocker, and Pastepot Pete are all going to be side villains within the game itself. He went on ahead and also said that Miles has a recurring mission where he's investigating mysterious signals and events that are happening throughout the city, which will then actually set up into a post-credit scene of the game where the multiverse breaks open, which causes the Spider-Verse events, and a version of Spider-Gwen comes out of the portal confused. Apparently, the scale of the game is similar to Spider-Man 1, but with a lot more missions, and apparently, according to this rumored leak, you can go on ahead and tackle most of them as both Miles or Peter. Now, this is probably the one piece of news that I hope the most is not true, because apparently Screwball will be coming back, and this time she's going to be, instead of just streaming, she's going to be doing TikTok dances. So, yay, said no one ever. And the last piece of information is supposedly, again, according to this rumor, there will be no playable Venom. Maybe they're planning to go on ahead and add the character as a DLC playable character, or maybe even go the route of what they did with Miles, where we got that Marvel Spider-Man game, and then shortly thereafter, Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales released, and maybe Venom will follow a similar formula. If this one proves to be true, I would be absolutely bewildered, because I just can't imagine that this many details of the game would go on ahead and be leaked this far out from the release. I just genuinely think that there's no way that that could be true. I think that parts of this leak still do sound believable because they borrow from that first leak that was revealed. So it kind of lines up nicely as far as that is concerned. But a lot of the other stuff just sounds a little bit wacky and way out there, as well as just borrowing from previous Spider-Man films, comics, and storylines, instead of feeling like something that is much more original, which this universe and this gameverse has definitely been going for. But let me know what you guys think. Maybe you're more receptive to this than I am. To me, it just screams like this is just someone who's going on ahead and having some fun with the actual ideas that maybe they would like to see happen in the game, but it just does not seem to me like that such specific details would be revealed to anyone unless if they are literally working on the title in a very major and prominent role. If you guys enjoyed today's video, I'd really appreciate it if you could take a moment to hit the thumbs up button. And if you'd like to go on ahead and see my coverage of the brand new Gotham Knights DLC of the Kelvin incident, please go on ahead and click the link that you're currently seeing on the screen right now, as well as the epic new update to LEGO Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga.